Welcome to another edition of Threat Trends, Defender's Advantage podcast. You can find it where all podcasts are found. We're here at the RSA show, and we're going to talk about a topic that no one is talking about this show. We're talking about AI.
AI, what's that? I've never heard of AI.
It's not on signs anywhere. It's not, I'm not reading blogs about it. Why is that? Why is it so underreported?
I don't know. I feel like people are really missing the boat on this thing.
Anyway, we are back in another trough of disillusionment around AI again. But there are actually a lot of exciting use cases for AI, both for the bad guys and the good guys. And so
I'm the good guy?
You're the good guy.
You're the good guy.
John, as we all know, is the bad guy. But we're here to talk about what are we seeing in AI and what are the different use cases. So we have John Hultquist from Mandiant Threat Intelligence. We got Vijay, who leads product management for our threat intelligence group, and we're going to talk about what the bad guys are doing, and we're going to talk about what the good guys are doing. So what are the bad guys doing, John, and how are they going to use AI in the future?
The bad guys haven't really caught on to the boat yet entirely, or at least we haven't seen a ton of really good evidence that they are, but we are kind of worried about it, a little bit worried. So there's like some fantastical applications here, right? Like you could do, like theoretically, right, you could make like polymorphic malware that can change, like itself and adapt to situations, and maybe one day we'll be down there. But in my experience, right, that you remember the 2016 elections, and there were people who didn't believe that this was the Russians because they're like, the Russians are too advanced to do anything this silly, right? And the reality is the game is to do the simplest thing, right? The simplest application to get the job done, right? You don't want to bring your best tools to the game every time, because then they get exposed, and then you develop countermeasures for them, right? And so I think that's going to play out here as well, right? So I think the game is, what are like the simplest uses of this thing where they can get advantage? And just like us, these guys are overworked and under-resourced, right? And they're looking for ways to sort of scale, right? And I think one of the best places they can use this is social engineering, right? So social engineering, a lot of social engineering interactions require a human, right? And they have to have language capability, or at least they have to pretend to have language capability. And that takes time and energy, and you have to be on certain calendars if you want to make it look realistic. And I think this is an advantage in this space, right? Because we have this ability to generate text and potentially hold a conversation. They could potentially scale up a lot of their operations and their social engineering with this capability. And I think that's a very realistic implementation of this.
So I'm going to get a lot of emails saying that my CEO needs cash sent to them right away.
Exactly, right? But it's going to feel like a natural, and potentially you could get into a conversation and they could basically create a natural conversation with you. And that allows them to basically pick up scale with this. And I think that's a major concern I have, is their ability to scale this stuff. Because so much of this game has always been, sort of spray and pray, right? You got to hit a bunch of targets, and eventually, you're going to narrow that down to a handful who will actually pay out. And this will allow them to hit a lot more targets, really. One of the things that's interesting about social engineering, actually several different actors, I think the Iranians and the North Koreans have been doing this, is they're starting to get caught a lot, right, when they send that malicious thing.
Yeah.
And so they don't do that right off the bat anymore. They wait literally a month. They will talk to you and have a conversation with you for a month. Like, for instance, the North Koreans like to pretend to be recruiters, like HR recruiters, right? And so they do this long, like literally 30-day conversation with you about the job and all the opportunities and yada yada. And finally, they send you the link right at the very end, or the PDF, or the Word doc or whatever, and that's when they get you. And that takes a lot of time, right? So what if somebody else can do that? What if you can have some technology that makes that so much easier, especially one that can do it in natural language?
No, there you go. Well, we know what the bad guys are doing. Vijay, what are the good guys going to do to stop them?
First of all, I think that particular idea for the bad guys is pretty good. Being able to iterate and have a conversation over multiple emails and do it at scale. I think it's something we should watch out for. But coming back to good guys, I think it gives us advantage. This AI thing, I think, will work for us as well. I mean, when we collect all the threat intel, we are going to a lot of raw sources in multiple modalities. We have the images, screenshots, text, all of this is unstructured data. And they finally convert all of that into reports, into structured, machine-readable threat intel. Today, a lot of that is manual, right? And there are ad hoc tools. I think the biggest opportunity lies in automating all of that, right? So we can operate at scale, and we can operate at speed. Essentially, you can collect and then deliver value and protections in very short amount of time. I see the biggest value there, frankly. But it doesn't stop there. The one thing I would say is there are things that we can imagine right now, and the technology will evolve. There are many things that we cannot imagine. So I'll only state the things that I believe we can do now, but I'm pretty sure we can do a lot more. For example, everyone's talking about summarization. Our products deliver, tons of reports around actors, campaigns. Who has the time to read all of those? You want something to read it for you and tell you in summary what's going on. Is it relevant to you? I think that's a big advantage. People actually take the toil away. We've talked about this. We've talked about detecting new kinds of threats. We've talked about reducing toil. And we've talked about addressing the talent gap, right? So AI can help with these three things. So this is like toil reduction. You don't have to go through reams of reports to understand a threat. So that's another big, big area. We're also seeing, when you talk about protection, right, we need detection rules, we need behavioral rules for TTPs deployed. How do you create all of those? And we saw some examples of automatic creation of YARA-L rules, right? We can actually do that at scale now. As an actor comes up with a new tactic, you can have this technology, create a version of it, test it, potentially make it single-click deployable or even zero-click, right? So that's, again, taking threat intel and providing protection. All of that can be really done in a short amount of time. So I see great possibilities. And this is my limited, you know how limited my imagination. This is me. And there are smarter guys out there working on it, guys and gals. So,
well, reducing risk, reducing the toil, I mean, that's the panacea. And maybe AI is going to deliver it, and it's going to be the never-ending battle. Who deploys it better?
Yeah, no, I think so.
But we must talk about AI, though, because nobody has talked about it. Right?
So, another edition of Threat Trends on the Defender's Advantage podcast. Learned all about AI. We had a whole bunch of blogs that came out, a lot of really great material out there. Walk around the show floor. I'm sure every vendor is going to be talking about it. Again, like and subscribe on our YouTube channel and find these podcasts wherever you can find podcasts. Thank you again.
Thank you.